Hello folks, and welcome back to another episode of... What the hell is wrong with that light? Hello folks, and welcome back to another episode of the restoration of Lazarus. No. Hello folks, welcome back to another episode of the resurrection of Lazarus, the bug-eye sprite we are bringing back from the dead. I was fortunate, my son and his family stopped by for Christmas, so I had a pair of extra hands to help me do things. That's the good news. The bad news is we forgot to record everything, because we kind of started out testing stuff out, and then it was like, oh wow, this works, let's go do this and this and this and this and this. So I get to show you the results, but I'll show you in the future how I actually did it. So what we were working on, if you remember from, I think it's episode 30, we had a oil can that you actually got to watch happen in real time, where this went boing and popped down. I will include that video here. So I decided, well, let's try using this method of heating up an area with the oxyacetylene torch, sticking a dolly underneath it, beating the hell out of it with a hammer, cooling it off with a rag, and seeing if that actually will work to tighten this all up. Now, this, as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 shots at it. Maybe more than that. Maybe there may be 14 there. But a little uncomfortable for me, because being right-handed, I've got my right hand down here and trying to run with a hammer with my left hand, which means I was not exactly precise with the hammer, and there's a few dents in there and stuff. And not being experienced at doing this, I didn't know exactly how to do it. The one thing I did know is, when you go to remove an oil can, you have to heat it up and hit the top of the dent. So this was dented down, so I had a choice of either trying to heat it up from the bottom and denting it and hammering it all out, or popping it up and then doing it. So what I did was I popped it up first so that it was bulged up like this, and then I heated up the each of these little dots. I would then hand the torch to my son to take care of, because acetylene and oxygen are ungodly expensive. Don't want to waste them. Then I'd slide the dolly underneath and I'd try to hammer it down. So let me show you real quick what is going on here. So when you heat that metal up, you start out with kind of a thing that's a little bit like this, and then when you heat it up, you get a thing that looks more like that. Then when you pound it down, that metal is forced back together, and then when you cool it, it goes doink like this and tightens up and shrinks. So that's how the heat shrinking works. You heat it up and you get a bump, you pound it down a little bit, cool it down, and it shrinks the metal down. You can do the same thing with rods without actually, like a propeller shaft for a boat. You can heat a spot up on it if it's warped, then cool it down and it will straighten itself back out. Keith Fenner has some excellent videos on YouTube showing that. There's probably other people too, but Keith Fenner I know has some. So, I mean, it's amazing to me that knowing you heat things up and they expand, that it actually shrinks down less than what it started out with when you apply the heat to it. Friggin' amazing. So, anyways, back to the show. So I did that on this side first, if I remember correctly. This had a bit of an oil can to it, and I can't press that down now. Then I came over to this side, which was the one that you saw the oil can actually happen in. And again, I can put all my weight on that thing. Is it perfectly flat? No, there's a dent down here. There's some dents and stuff around in here. But I know that with some dolly work, I can flatten that metal out. May require a little bit more heat shrinking. This down here, I will probably, once the car is up on rotisserie, I'll probably get at it from the bottom side and then heat the bottom up and shrink it from the bottom side up to flatten this all out. And with any luck, when I'm done, this will be fairly flat. Vehicle will never be concourse quality. So even like it is right now, to be honest with you, it's good, it's solid. The fenders and everything are solid, so I'm not going to worry about it. One other spot I fixed is this crack that was in this piece here, and that's from this end vibrating up and down like that, and just worrying that metal to the point where it cracked there. So I've welded that up and ground it back to the point where it's pretty much like you would expect to see. Now let's move on to some other things that we dealt with. One of the issues I've got is this is all rusted out here and here. This piece right here is what they call the A-pillar. So it's rusted out here, here. The hinge for the door, the two bottom bolts on it, the heads were rusted out, so I can't get at them. I used an impact driver on these parts right here. These screws, those are pretty much broken loose. Let me grab that impact driver real quick. This is the impact driver I used. I got it courtesy of the U.S. Air Force because it was pulled out by QC from the flight line usage because of the head mushrooming over, which means you end up with pieces of metal that can shear off and into your engines and stuff. And this head was being held together by a piece of safety wire around in there. So they brought in a whole bunch of tools that were grabbed off of the flight line that couldn't be used to work on aircraft, and we're going to throw them away, and some of us just scavenged the stuff that was available. This part here and this part here, the Phillips head tip came in a set that I bought years ago. So those, clang, 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 those are what I used to knock those bolts loose. We also used the oxyacetylene torch to come in here and hit each one of these bolts on this side of the hinge, because my plan is I need to kind of have some room to work on things to get down in here and do stuff. So I'm going to take the doors off the hinges, excuse me, and then so I'm going to take the doors off the hinges, then I will have room to get in there and work on stuff without, having things in my way. These, we had them up till the heads were red hot, hit them with the impact driver, then used a big honking screwdriver, broke them loose. Right now they're not totally out. They're just kind of loosened up a little bit. So that's the situation. I have the same issue going on the other side of the vehicle in exactly the same spot. These A-pillars are a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. Now let's talk about why. So the inside of this is one solid panel that goes all the way up through the footwell. These A-pillars got spot welded to that panel, and they also got spot welded to the top of the rocker panel. You can maybe see right there. Let's see if I can throw a little extra light down in there. You may be able to see that there's actually, right there is where they were spot welded to the top of this piece. So this piece has to be fixed. This piece down here for the A-pillar has to be fixed. So in order to do that, I have to be able to pull out the A-pillar. The A-pillar on this side has more issues. It's got a dent here, here. It's got rusted metal down here, which probably goes all the way through. This spot down here where it welds to this piece and this piece, there's rust through right there. That's got to be fixed. And then if you zoom in on, come on you stupid camera. Then if we zoom in on this spot right here, this is where the A-pillar comes up and joins the, what the hell do you want to call that? The dash, I guess. But this is a leaded joint right there. You can see I can dig into that fairly easily. And right there, same thing, that's lead. The one bolt, this is where the windshield mount attaches, the windshield frame. The rear bolt came out fine. The front bolt did not come out fine. So I had to drill that out in order to get the windshield frame off. My plan is to use a technique I've used a couple of times, and I've seen it done a lot of times, and that is to screw a nut onto the top of that and then run weld down inside to essentially turn this into a hex bolt, hex-headed bolt. If you can get down in there and get a decent weld on the piece, then that works fine. Now the problem I'm going to have is I've already tested, and the body of that bolt is not grounded to the body of the car. That means there's a lot of corrosion in there that's keeping it from making a good ground. So I'm going to have to hook my ground clamp to the outside of here, shoot the wire down inside, weld it all up, and hope to hell I don't weld my ground clamp to the nut. The other side of the vehicle, which I will take you to next. So if we look at this side, you can see the pretty big dent there. There's a hole through right there. So this side's got to come out also. That dent is from having the door swing around and hit and jam it in. And I'm going to have to do the same thing with the screw on this side, weld the nut onto it to be able to get it off. The same situation exists. The same situation exists on this side as far as the bolts go that hold the hinges onto the A-pillar. as far as the bolts go, holding the hinges to the door. Had to use heat on them, and as you can see down here, this side is rusted out much worse than the other side is. Down there where the maybe I can shoot into that a little bit tighter. And as you can see on this side, that area is rusted out far worse than it is on the other side, so I'm going to have to pull that A-pillar out and repair it and carry on from there. And as I noted on the other side, I'm going to have to try welding the nut on there and see if we can get it to break loose after get that bolt out after the nut's welded on. So that's what's coming up next, folks. Stand by. Yep. Okay, for my next trick, I shall attempt to weld that nut onto the remains of the screw that's down in there without welding to this right there. Let's see how it goes. Oh shit, I got a crooked end of my wire. My wire is crooked. That ain't good. There. That's good. Up and away, folks. We'll let that just sit and soak and cool down for a little bit. How about that, folks? That really works. There's the end of the nut, or bolt, or what the hell ever you want to call it. That's the end of it. Oops. All right. Come in like this. Shit. Now where the hell did my nut go? Oh, miracle of miracles. The clamp held onto the nut. All right, gonna try one more time to weld that nut onto the end of that bolt and see if we can get it to back out.
Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. For less than the price of a cup of coffee each month, you can support this project as a member on Patreon. See the links in the description below.
All right, that is hotter than hell and as good as it's going to be gotten. Now the question is it good enough? Feels like it's turning. The nut's not on there good, but it is coming out. Well, the nut's on there good, it's not on there square. So, as you can see, not square, but good enough. She came out. Beauteous. All right. Enough of that. Let's pop these doors off. Get around here, door. If I'm right, all I should have to do is take those big screws out. To be honest with you, I think I want this drill driver for this. See if these all come out of here now. That one's out. Okay, where the hell is the screw at? Is that one? That's not screwing out. Let's try to tighten that down. There. That door's off. Oh, shitski. There. Nope. There we go. That one's out. That one's out. That one's out. Ah, damn it, that one doesn't want to come out that way. All right. There, that one's out. Ooh, that doesn't want to move very easily. Huh. This is rusted out on the bottom all the way from here, all the way over to there, and around the corner there. So I'm going to have to cut this all out from here. I'm going to have to open this up and bend this seam down. Get this piece all opened up all the way back to here. What a mess. All right. Well, that's one door. Let's take a look at the driver's door. Driver's door is not as bad. Looks like there's a rust pinhole right there. Yep, there's one there. That's solid there. So that door's not too bad. Just a minor pinhole down in there to take care of. I gotta figure out how the hell to get these screws out. All right. This is a little oxyacetylene set that I bought. Very small tanks. turn them on like so. This goes like so. Right now it's showing, I'm going to say about 1,450 pounds of acetylene. And we are at 9, 10, 11, let's see, we're at about slightly over 11,000 pounds of oxygen, which terrified the hell out of me, because that means this tank has, when it was new, it had 12,000 psi in it. 12,000 pounds of pressure inside of this little tank. Roughly 200 psi for the acetylene tank, which makes a lot more sense. Roughly 1,600 psi in that tank. The red numbers are the ones you go by for psi. That's a friggin' bomb, which is why you better be real damn careful with these things. Never break never drop them. Be real careful about stuff. Fire them up. Oh, by the way, it came with a set of goggles, such as they are, which is suitable for gas welding and gas cutting. Also comes with a cutting torch. And this, I assume, is, oh, it is, it tells on it right there. This is a single aught welding tip. And, oh shit, I can't see. Probably will never be able to see. Yeah, I'll be able to see. The way you fire this up, turn the acetylene on. Notice that nice smoky flame? Then you crank up the oxygen. Now let me talk about that nice smoky flame for a minute. Notice how it's got a nice long blue flame, and in the center there's that very bright tiny flame. That's the hottest spot, right at the tip of that blue flame. Now then, that acetylene smoky flame, what they don't tell you is that that smoke is actually putting out a whole shitload of little pieces of soot, which are pure carbon, and they are essentially bucky tubes and buckyballs. Look it up on the internet to find out what those things are. Now, that all seems absolutely fine and well, but the problem is that shit floats around in the air and gets on every damn thing in your garage. There's a little piece of it right there, and if you're not careful, you breathe the shit in. I don't know, but what, it may kill you if you breathe enough of it in. But the problem is, I don't know if you can see it, but it smears. To give you an idea of what that stuff is like, this pad was sitting, I don't know, 8, 9 feet away from where we were starting up the torch. And you can see how much of this stuff flew through the air over onto it. And you can see how it just smears all over the damn place. Just makes a mess. Fun while. So if you don't get it sucked up with a vacuum cleaner, or get rid of it some other damn way, you end up with little dots of black shit smeared all over the place. Now, this came with brand new tanks. So you go to your local gas supplier and you say, can you fill up my tanks for me? And your gas supplier says, no, I'll exchange them and give you filled tanks. And you go, but wait a minute, my tanks are new. And he says, my tanks are tested. We know my tanks are good. So essentially what they do is they swap you for tanks that they know are good and tanks that are filled. Then they take your tanks, which may be brand new, and they take them back to their main shop, which is how many ever hundreds of miles away, and they pressure test them and verify that those tanks are good. Then they fill them up and your brand new tanks go out to somebody else. So just so you know, that's the way it works with your oxygen and acetylene tanks. So I've got both of those shut off now. I do not like leaving pressure in the lines. So I'll drop that acetylene down. I'll drop that oxygen down. Yes, I've wasted a tiny bit. Do I care? No, because I'd rather have the safety. One other little bit of information, just to make you feel nice and safe. Acetylene gas is so friggin' unstable that you can't just put acetylene gas into a tank like that. Apparently it has a tendency to decompose, and when it decomposes, bad things happen. So what they do is they put acetone, however you want to pronounce it, into the tank, and they dissolve the acetylene gas into the acetone. So when you buy a tank of acetylene, a portion of it down in the bottom is really just the acetone that the acetylene gets dissolved into. And that makes it safe. Now, when I was a young lad, the old man had a torch set, and his tanks were like this high. His oxygen tank went up to 3,000 psi on the regulator. Acetylene was, I don't know, it may have gone up to 1,200, I can't remember. But, at least I'm pretty sure it went up to 3,000 psi. But a tank that high, from there to the ground, full of oxygen, holds a shitload of oxygen. This tank is about 1/5 of that size. A number of years back, Mythbusters did a thing where they broke the ends off of a tank of oxygen, and you got to watch it shoot through a cement block wall. So these fucking things are dangerous, folks. Don't carry these damn things in your car, and take very good care of them around your garage, and so on and so forth.
Okay, folks, that's it for this episode of BugeyeBob. I really appreciate you watching and hope that, like me, you've learned a few things in this episode. Please like, subscribe, and comment on this video and share it with others. You can help support this project by becoming a member at patreon.com/BugeyeBob in the link below. Patreon paid members get early access to the videos, and in the future will enjoy question and answer sessions and live streams. As this channel grows, future Patreon member benefits will include bonus or extended episodes, member names and credits, and the ability to suggest topics for future videos. You can follow this BugeyeBob restoration on YouTube and Facebook at the links below. Once again, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and supporting this channel. And remember that sometimes the most important job you can do is a dirty, thankless job.